don't want to know how late I was up last night trying to figure this out. I do now have a cake and a ball of a single strand. I think this is 170-ish grams. I think I need about 250, so I'm making progress. I do still have this much left that I need to turn from 2 strands into 1 strand. But at one point last night, I figured out a trick that I'm very proud of. So the thing is, you start by just kind of taking the 2 strands and pulling them apart, right? And I mean, there's only so many ways that you can pull 2 strands apart. And I've been putting one of them onto the ball winder and just turning the other into a ball. But the problem is that at some point after doing this for a while, like now, so at this point, the 2 strands are like completely twisted around each other. Here's the trick I figured out. Hair clip. I was so proud when I figured that out. This is the kind of thinking that got me 2 engineering degrees. Okay, it's been several weeks. At first I was waiting because I was really nervous about caking up yarn that was even like a little bit damp, so I waited a really long time, and then I was just too busy. So it's been a while, but I have swatched. By some miracle I am on gauge, so we are ready to go. So the pattern that I am casting on for is the Eun Sweater Light. Now, one of you very kindly warned me about the neckline on this pattern, which, by the way, if anybody has ever considered sharing their knitting online, probably the biggest like selfish advantage is that if you talk about your knitting plans, people will warn you about things if they have made the pattern before. I'm always very grateful for that. So someone mentioned that the neckline was very big for this pattern, and indeed it has a construction where you cast on however many stitches for the collar. Then you knit the collar in ribbing in the round. Then you either knit the cast on edge together here or sew it down later. But at this point, you also size up the needles by 0.5. And that's where you start doing the body and the raglan increases. So the first thing I noticed is that that cast on number of stitches is big. And for reference, I was comparing it to my Kurti sweater, which is the same gauge, very, very similar yarn. So it's been a good reference for me. And for the Kurti, what you do is you cast on the stitches here and then start knitting the body, and then later you pick up for the collar. That's my preferred construction. And indeed, for the Kurti, the collar definitely has fewer stitches than the Eun sweater does, so that made a lot of sense to me. So my first thought was, okay, I'll just do that. Skip the collar on the Eun sweater, start doing the body here, and then pick up my preferred number of stitches later. But if you look at the pattern pictures really closely, it is clearly intentional that the ribbing pattern goes straight into the raglan, and it does look really neat. So I do want to try that. So the 2 options I would have would be to cast on fewer stitches for the collar, but also making sure that I'm staying in pattern when I add the stitches for the body. Or what I'm going to end up doing instead is, instead of going up by 0.5 millimeters here, I'm going to go up by 1. So basically I'm going to follow the pattern instructions with that big number of stitches. But when I do that, I'm going to be 1 full millimeter in needle size smaller. And the reason I'm confident in this is that for my Kurti, I kind of ended up doing that. I often like to do my ribbing in a smaller needle size. And when I made that modification on the Kurti, the stitch count was actually very similar to that big number that the Eun sweater is recommending. But the issue with the Eun sweater is that the difference they're recommending is only 0.5. So I'm going to do 1 millimeter instead. Long explanation, but I think that's going to work out. So I'm going to do a size 3. That is what I should be doing based on the recommended positive ease. And I'm just taking note here of really like needle sizes, size of the pattern, anything that I might need to reference later, I like to take note of. So this is going really well with one small problem. See if you can spot it. So I have not done the back panel yet. The front panel, I'm gonna say it's almost done. By the pattern, I'm supposed to do another like 10 centimeters, which seems kind of nuts. I'm sure it would be fine, but I am running out of yarn, so I don't know that it's an option anyway. I have enough mohair to do the front panel to about this length, probably a few more rows, and then do the same thing for the back panel. So that is the plan. However, I do not have enough of the Matcha Sunday to do that. No need to panic. I have had a backup plan this whole time. I do technically have more of this yarn. I put it into another project last year in 2025, and you actually haven't seen this one before because I forgot to put it in my Everything I Knit in 2025 video, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about how I feel about it. I actually really like it, I just don't use it. So this is my Hesper shawl by Amy Christoffers. It is done in the Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color Matcha held double, just like the vest that I frogged. And then the contrast color is a superwash DK sort of variegated hand-dyed yarn. I wasn't planning to frog this. However, I did just recently finish my pressed flowers shawl, which sort of has surpassed this one as my favorite shawl. This one I was never totally in love with the contrast color. I don't think that the variegation has enough contrast with the matcha. So this has actually just been at the back of my closet, so I am actually quite excited to frog it. I mean, like, this isn't a sad thing for me, frogging these things. I don't like owning more things than I have to. I'm a little more minimalist that way. So, like, having things in my closet that I don't use, I'm very excited to give them new life. Also, like, everything is so expensive these days. I'm not exactly eager to spend more money on yarn anytime soon. So if I can get a few free projects out of that, I'll be super happy. Yeah, I had to have the brakes and the starter on my car replaced. Seriously, if you happen to live in like a walkable city where you don't need a car, I am so jealous.